promise I'm not like a vampire or something crazy like that. Oh, I'm just an artist, a random nerd if you will. With everything that's been going on with the world, I haven't been able to fulfill my ideas I've had. I had an idea to make a character for a video game for a while now, but I also wanted to document it and show everyone my process on it. If you let me in, I can talk and share it with you too. Surely you'll get a kick out of it. Awesome! We can talk about it tomorrow. Thanks for listening.
Hello, my name is Random Nerd Blogs, formerly known as Crane, aka the random nerd who does anything and everything nerdy. This is definitely a different video than my usual content, but I decided to try something new and see how it goes. So what better way to do it than designing a character for the famous game No, I'm Not a Human. No, I'm Not a Human is a survival horror game. Oh, I forgot to put it who it was made by. Shit! No, I'm Not a Human is a game developed by No, I'm Not a Human is a game developed by Trioscast and published by Critical Reflex, who are most likely more known by publishing mouthwashing. If you do not know what I am talking about and have been a hermit on the internet somehow, I will offer a small blurb of it. But given you clicked on the video, you most likely do know about it. For the people who don't, the game is a survival horror game. After discovering the sun is literally exploding on itself with numerous amounts of heat waves that are resulting in people to stay inside during the day and only being able to go out at night, and having the new addition of something called visitors overrunning the world. I wouldn't say overrunning. Dogs rule the world now, and only dogs survive here. Jeez, I don't know where that came from. It's your job to decide who you let inside your house, and looking for the signs, such as bloodshot eyes or perfect white teeth, to name a few, to relatively see if who you let inside is a visitor or not. Recently, the game had came out with an update, with new characters, random events, and an ending to the already existing things in the game. If you want a video more about the lore or story, you're in the wrong space, unfortunately. But I will link some videos in the description for stuff like that, especially ones that I find interesting that surely you might enjoy as well. With the blurb out of the way, let's move aside and try to figure out this character together, yeah? This character I was making was something that was lingering in my head for a while ever since the game had kind of came out. Originally the game being demos before the full release came out, but never enough to properly draw them at the time. The time I really did dabble in it was when I was attempting to draw or put myself into the style of No, I'm Not a Human like everyone else was when it became a mini trend at the time. All the characters in the game don't really have names. I think only one or two did based off of going in the files, but a lot of their names tend to be either based off their personality, the way they look, or what their job is or was at the time. As mentioned before, I had them in mind already, including what they were going to be, hence, ill person. A reflection on people who are suffering from chronic illness, already struggling in a world that isn't meant for them, now only increasing when the resources are inaccessible or unavailable entirely, and the weight of their survival meaning nothing but dead weight to others around them if they aren't useful. Especially given in this world, hospitals are already lacking due to everyone's paranoia and fear on top of FEMA infiltrating it based on dialogue from the doctor. Something I find interesting in a lot of media, generally horror or survival horror, is we never tend to see a lot of characters who suffer from disease or chronic illness and how they function or survive, especially in worlds that are often apocalyptic. While there are a few off chance of a character, the first one that comes into my mind is Mary from Silent Hill, I never really see anything like this explored. The most maybe usually tends to reflect more of other aspects of disabilities, usually being deaf, blind, or handicapped. Usually paraplegic, needing to use a wheelchair, or amputee. Unless there are other characters I somehow have never seen, please feel free to share them in the comments about it. like to hear, and even feel free to ramble about them. It opens my world on other things that I don't usually see often. It was something I wanted to reflect in this character, given I am also using a lot of my personal experiences as someone who suffers from a chronic illness myself. So be aware about that. Don't come at me with a pitchfork! Don't come at me with a pitchfork! When I attempted to draw them previously, I decided to keep certain elements, such as the tank top, baggy pants, different socks, and unkempt type of hair, while also having a lot of their facial features be unproportional to one another. The game style is very known to be relatively uncanny, along with its reference in media such as the cashier girl or the pale visitor himself, on top of the use of photo bashing, but we will get there when we get there. I made one eye bigger than the other, their lip uneven, ears different size, and even their face as a whole is generally off. One side is sharper, while the other is more round. It really is only better seen when drawn compared to the final product, but the thought was still there regardless. One of the things that stumped me and held me off from drawing the character properly was the hair and mostly the color palette. The game has a very interesting use of incorporating colors with its characters. Some have very human-like appearance, while others look odd or weird. Like the fortune teller being in shades of green, the little girl being purple, but have a bright yellow dress. Why is she purple? And that's just the intruder from Mandela catalog. What are you doing here? All the characters have different colors used. I didn't want to use a normal palette, and by the power of the art gods, it came to me in a vision. I decided to use sickly shades of green, with undertones being more of a pale, icky yellow. Though I don't think it really ended up being pale, it's just generally a yellow color, with very little red for the under eyes, and making their eyes a shade of gray instead of something bright or normal passing. I also decided to go with micro bangs instead to maybe emphasize more of their uncanny or misshapen proportions. I also did end up using this type of yellow, or a type of yellow, for the hair after liking it when I used it for the streaks in my hair when I did my first attempt. While I did try to use it for their entire head that you can probably see in the speed paint here, I ended up just using it as more of a highlight instead, while the roots were a dark blue that could be passed off as a shade of black. Using this same shade as well for the shirt and pants, the only bright color there is being the hospital bracelet, it being a cyan color. Originally they were going to have glasses, but I ended up scrapping it in the design of it. Technically they still do have glasses, or still relatively need glasses, but they either got lost or broke on their way to the protagonist's house. I had to keep it in mind when thinking of their personality when it comes to the differences of if they are a visitor or human. Here's the concept art of it so far. Relatively, that's all that this is. You gotta start somewhere, guys, alright? You gotta start before you get to the real big picture. That's why there is a normal, heavily shaded picture compared to the flat shade and almost nothing. And we're going to ignore some of the colors being outside of the lines, okay? Okay, it's a concept art, guys. Not everything has to be perfect. I really did like how it turned out, though. I do like the nose, and I also ended up adding a little bit of stubble and some freckles to their face and body. Though relatively it does end up kind of being unnoticeable when in the final product. But it's the small details that count. The scar is also going to be something more subtle when it comes to the photo bashing segment of it. Speaking of, let's get to the fun part. Putting them into the style and figuring out the photo bash segment of it. I had recently gotten a camera as a Christmas gift from my uncle, so the timing was practically perfect to try this out. While I originally had already taken pictures of myself earlier on my phone, when it comes to the more up-close area of it, the space that they're inhabiting I used for my camera. I used the camera. The camera. Yep. I used the camera for it. I also used some of the pictures from Pinterest that I was using as reference to use them properly into the photo bashing segment of it. If you have no idea what photo bashing is a type of art or editing style that combines pictures to build something and can be painted over or edited to its desired effect. As mentioned earlier, the game is known for this style, especially given some of the faces they use to build characters or even the poses for itself. Another game that has also used photo bashing is, funny enough, BioShock. BioShock's pictures for the characters are photo bashed. That is a fun fact for you if you didn't know. You don't tend to see it very often in a lot of media anymore, but it's still relatively around and still used, just not as often as it used to be. The face, I was struggling a bit, which you can probably tell with the speed paint. I wasn't really able to give the desired effect for their face because of the hair being in the way, and didn't want to make it too weird. I think the more weirder it is for this game, the more successful it is. But I wasn't really able to figure out how to put an ear sticking out, so it didn't end up in the final product either. And you know, that's okay. Something they don't tell you when you use yourself as the photo bashing subject is how weird it is to see yourself and your face being morphed into something else, which was probably why I was struggling much more than I expected to. You're also probably wondering, why didn't I just decide to put them in a hospital gown instead if they are a sick patient or a sick person? Given they are called ill person, I thought it would have been too on the nose and wanted more of the subtle approach to the concept, rather than it being blatant in the face and the whole entire personality and focal point of the character. I had to try to edit out the design of my pants since the only pair I had were too baggy and I knew it would look weird if I decided to do that instead. For some godforsaken reason, I was also struggling to find a proper hospital bracelet that was that cyan teal color. Cyan, you know, the teal color. I found some later, but you can notice how I had to add the color myself because of it. It could have been better, it could have been worse. I don't know why I was struggling to find a bracelet. I don't know what I was putting in wrong to give me anything but this color I was looking for. Google is weird when you're looking for things. I like to think one of the differences on if they are a visitor or a human is the bracelet. Not so much the color, but you can actually see if they have a name on it or not. Maybe the one you see is smudged, while another time you can see it crystal clear. Their fingernails have nail polish, but it's actively chipping and coming off, making it also harder to see if they have dirt under their fingernails. I knew I was going to put them in this other room that I think is the office. Apparently this is not the living room. I always thought it was a type of living room. So when figuring out their pose, they were going to sit on the couch. I had to combine two pictures since my leg was too far out compared to the other one, and try to make sure it didn't look like it was all broken. I wanted to have more of a melancholy-like posture. Original pictures I took looked too similar to previous characters who also inhabit this same room, this general space. So I tried to make it more of a lenient pose, with their eyes closed as if finally able to rest, but still being aware when or if something were to happen. I kept their ear hidden in their idle pose since I thought it looked better and didn't really try to see what it would look like with their ear peeking out of the hair. Also, since I used Procreate, I couldn't find the exact font used in the game, so if the text looks weird, that's probably why. But you know why? You know what? You know what? We ball in challenges like these. Procreate, please, I need you guys to add more fonts. What are the fonts that you guys have? I need more fonts. This isn't enough. And here we have it. The final design of the character, Ill Person. They are randomized to be a visitor or human. After ending up in the hospital before the rise of visitors, actively seeing it is no longer safe and best to try and leave, they snuck out. Only having so much on them and knowing that they are going to end up dying either by the visitors, the sun, or their own illness. Without their medications, they aren't going to survive when something drops, it's all over. Often pessimistic or gloomy regarding their own life and will to live, struggling to function when everywhere they turn is always some form of obstacle because of something that cannot be controlled. The concept of life and death is very minuscule to them as well, knowing that anyone is going to die, including them, whether they are sick or not, whether if they are the most healthiest person alive or, by God, the most sickly, immune-compromised person in the world. No matter what, you will still end up in the same place, so why bother trying to outrun or beat it? If the deadbeat mom is already inhabiting the space, they will not want to come in. I did also debate on if they wouldn't come in if the cheerful guy is also inhabiting the space, but wasn't too sure. It's an overall maybe, perhaps. The random event is most likely them having a medical episode, and most likely dying as a result. Kinda like the firefighter, who ends up dying after a few days of coming to his wounds. Whether seen or overnight, I think I had a lot of fun doing this character, and being able to explore another medium of art for a challenge. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more like this, or just more of me talking and anything like that, please let me know. I'd be happy to figure out more videos to do something like this more often outside of all my other art-related content and, expand my channel, because it is my channel, and I can do what I please. Feel free to like and subscribe, share if you think other people would like to enjoy seeing my weird things. If you want to stick around for more art or animations and anything like that, feel free to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video of mine. And let me know in the comments if you ever got them as a visitor. Would you let them in? My name is Random Nerd Blogs, and thank you for staying nerdy with me.